Just to start off, one of the very first questions that I come up, especially with sons and fathers, I would say this. So, what has been the most difficult part of raising me?
Oh, that's a big one.
I can imagine.
That's a big one. First of all, raising any child, not only you, but raising any child, first of all, you are a child yourself until you have a child. People don't understand. I mean, you may be 40, you may be 50 or 60, but you are still a child.
Wow.
And that transiting from being a child to a father, I think is the most difficult thing for any father that is out there. To me, that was the point. I mean, before you get the child, you demand him so much. You want him. I want to have a baby because you see your peers are all having babies. For example, before you came, we took 5 years to have any child.
Wow.
And so we prayed, we believed, we waited, we were challenged by those who got married in 6 months and they're pregnant, and those who were married a year ago, they're having babies, and it's a challenge. You're in between. You want the baby so bad. And then when you realize the baby is coming, then all the fears walk in.
Wow.
It's just like you open your house on a cold winter day, and or rainy and sunny day, and the wind is blowing in, but the sun rays are also coming in. Mm-hmm. So you are in that mode. You don't know how to behave. You don't know how to do. So, and finally, when we realized you are coming, I was in Uganda. Actually, I was traveling, preaching. I had to come back to Uganda so that I can come to UK. At that time, it was time for visas. You need to come here. When the visa expires, you cannot get it in another country. So I came here. Your mom was already in London. And so she delivered you. I thought she told me you'll be delivered in next week, but you came early. and so she delivered you. My brother John was there. But she was able. You were able to be delivered. And then I found you when you were already born, maybe about a week. Uh-huh. Yeah, just a week, because that's what it would take us to get a visa or something like that. And but it was such an amazing, and you were so brown. I mean, when I was born, I was so light-skinned, that my dad began to say, because all my siblings were not light-skinned. So it's essentially what happened to you.
Oh, wow.
You were so light-skinned, and even people around us, they said, no, this cannot be, who's this? I mean, Masoli clan, we don't have very brown people.
That's funny.
But when the babies are born, they're very brown. But anyway, so you have to grow into a father, and you have to grow fast. You have to grow fast into a parent. And I think that's where most people, and I believe, I'm not a devil's advocate, but I believe the reason why when many of young people who have got pregnancy or have pregnated girls, outside the wedlock or, the reason why they deny that this is not my baby is not because they don't like the baby. I'm taking my understanding. That's what I believe, first and foremost. Not because they're evil or they hate the baby or hate the mother of the baby. It's just like, as I said, it's like on a sunny, rainy day, and you open all your windows, and the rain and the sunshine comes in the same time. It is, you get afraid. You freak. You cannot just get in there. So you have to grow fast from being just a human being, a child yourself, into growing into a parent. So one of the hardest thing when you were born, raising you up. It's not been easy. It's not been easy. When you're raising a leader, when you're raising somebody who has a great destiny, when you're raising somebody who's a gift of God, because God knew you before you were in the womb of your mother. And when you're raising that person, it's not easy. It's like when they were raising Jesus. I mean, how do you keep a kid who knows everything about you? You are Mary. You are a creature. You are a human being. You are Joseph. But this kid you have knows more about you and about tomorrow and about everything else. And I think that is one of the things that parents are finding very difficult, that this generation of yours, you know, the millennials, you know more about, even when we are lying about it, you can just know, because you're full of knowledge, you're full of revelations, you're full of everything. And so that is to me, that is the most difficult thing when you're raising any child. But especially you're a child of destiny. We prayed for you to come. You were handled by so many men of God, T.L. Osborne, Bonnie Benson in the house, that they all dedicated you, they all prayed for you, they all loved you. So you were waited for. I mean, you're not like any other child. Oh, the Kayanjas had another baby. No, the Kayanja cannot have babies for 5 years. Now they have a baby. What kind of a baby that is? So the pressure was not only on us. You were moving from one hand to the other. I remember when my father-in-law came, Professor Semper came to you, your judge came to see you in London. And I mean, the joy that was there, and you are moving from one hand to the other, you're moving from one hand to the other. So not only us, we owned you, but it seems the whole church or the village owned you. And they feel that they're part of your life, you know. And so let me just give them one scenario of the hardest part of raising you up. Yeah. It was that you were so friendly and you were so attached to both of us, your mom and dad, that we first of all, we loved you so much. I remember the day after you were born, even before you were born, because I came to London before you were born, and then we went for shopping, and then we shopped everything that I thought you needed with your mom, but she did not tell me a week ago. She had shopped all the things that I was buying, so you had double. you had double of everything. And she kept quiet. I was buying these things, and she said, "Yeah, we need that. We need that." But then when we reached home, you know, the things that I'd bought, she had them. And I so that was one of the things. And so she went to the meeting, a revival by Maurice Saroro in London, when she was about to deliver you. I don't know why she did it. So while she was there, she entered into labor, you know.
On the bus.
So it was one of those things. Only women can do that.
Yeah.
But so you were born, and when you were born, because we were living in a very limited room and place, and we were so worried. I was so concerned about you're so tiny, and you are so innocent, and you are so beautiful. You are such a gift. So even holding you hold a baby as though. You can't hold a glass like that. You can't hold something like that. You feel like you're going to hurt, you're holding a baby or you're going to hurt the baby. But so the part was that it was difficult to get you to eat. It was difficult to get you to eat. We had to struggle to get you to get food in your mouth. You didn't want to eat. You just did not want to eat. You entirely depended on the milk and the formula. And I think above all, of all your siblings, you were the one who was breastfed for a little bit longer, but again, you dropped the breast milk. Then we had to put you on the hungrier baby milk because, that was like your main food. Like I was. I mean, I started eating when I was 6 years old. I was on milk. I was raised on milk. So the things that you see your child is doing that age becomes very hard. And you stayed in our bedroom. Your bed your cot was in our bedroom. So because we wanted to find out what's happening. Are you going to wake up? And you could wake up in the middle of nowhere. And you could sit up and you could start a conversation anytime. So that was one of the moments. The other moment was when your sister was very sick, and I had to move the whole family to UK. And then that weekend, because we were going to Australia, before she got sick, I already made an arrangement. We were going to Australia, preaching in a conference in December. And Christian City Church, Pastor Phil Pringle, my good friend. And so I found myself that I had to go with you, at least. Your mom stayed with the twins, and I went with you. You're barely 6 years old.
Yeah,
And barely 6 years old. And so what was really happening was that on the plane, ongoing, you're sleeping different times, and you're such a person who starts a conversation, you don't let go. You know, when you start talking and asking, that's the age where you're asking, okay, what is this? It's water. Why water? Because you need water to drink. Why do we need to drink? Why? You can go on until like you can have it. And it's about 18 hours from London. Actually, more than that. It's about 22 hours from between 18 and 20 hours from Heathrow Airport to Queensland. We had to land to Queensland, and then from there, actually, we were going straight to Sydney, but then because of the black hole, the rain created a black hole, we landed in one of the towns in Asia so that the storm can pass, and then we took off and we landed in Queensland. Then we got Qantas Airlines to go to Sydney. But along the way, you were sleeping. I was sleeping on different times and different hours. And you're such a sportsman, because I remember when we were at the hotel where we were sleeping in Sydney, you know, you ran out of the hotel because it was at the beach. You ran out of the hotel, and I just had a nightmare. I woke up, and I something was telling me that you have been either you've been kidnapped or something like that. And so I woke up, I looked into your bed, and you were not there. So I ran outside, and here you are going straight into the ocean. You are going into the ocean to swim. And I screamed, and you kept running into the waters. I said, oh my God, this is... So raising a child is both stressful and full of joy, especially if it's your firstborn. It's not something easy, because you yourself have to grow and become a parent or a father. But at the same time, you must maintain your child, you're being a child, because this baby you are having, you're going to grow him, you're going to play with him, you're going to walk with him. I remember as you started growing, I got you your golf club. I got your golf club, teaching you how to play golf. And then you started using it to beat something. Then I got you a guitar. So I used the club to beat up the guitar, so the guitar was done. But you love drums. You love drums, and you're a very good drummer, by the way. Very good drummer. You love drums, and you haven't played drums for years. But you are a good basketball player. So you're a very good sportsman. So that way, it was easy for me to get involved in your life, or you get involved in my life, because I was very busy moving up and down. But you're not a very difficult child to raise, but you are too much in terms of engagement. I remember one time your mom was at home. She called me and she said, Robert has crashed the car. I think you were 2.5 years old or 3.
Oh yeah, I remember that story.
Yeah.
I don't remember the event, but I remember the story.
Yeah, there was the car. She parked the car, and so you decide, and she left the key.
No,
I don't know whether she took the key.
No, I remember what happened. I remember. So what happened was, I don't know how I got into the vehicle, but I got into the car, and I'm a visual learner. Like if I see you do something, I can replicate it. If I physically see you do something, I can replicate it. So I would see her just turn the key, move everything, and then all of a sudden, what happens is it's really simple. So I was like, there's no key to turn on the ignition.
Yeah.
So all I do is take the handbrake down with both my hands, push it down, then the car goes back, and
You just, I not only go back because you turn the gear. We are glad you didn't turn it forward because you would have crashed. I mean, you imagine you're not even reaching the pedal. You just turned the reverse, I think, and you went and smashed the whole gate out of the house. Boom. And then when everything is, everybody begins to scream, they run to your mom. You said, well, the car's crashed, and you came out and you said, yeah. Ekikulu kyo emmotoka eweddewo. That's what he said. Ekikulu kyo emmotoka eweddewo. Something like that. And then I remember your mom said, no, I can't have you anymore. Robert, pack your bags and go. Leave this house and go. And you said, okay. You started packing at that. I don't know. I mean, at that time, 3 years old. How do you pack your stuff and go? So, I mean, when you have someone who is able to observe pressure and stuff like that, it becomes joy. It doesn't become difficult to raise such a child because every moment, no matter how terrible that moment is, it turns out into joy. You start laughing about it instead of, having a situation. So she called me, frantically, said, well, Robert has crashed the car and this is what's happening. I said, is he okay? Is he all right? Who gave him the car? Those are the questions that comes in. But it wasn't difficult to raise you because you loved God. The moment you were born, when we brought you back to Uganda, immediately you loved the sticks, the drumsticks. In fact, you were with the drumsticks when you were 6 months. 6 months. You one of the things that could keep you quiet was your drumsticks. And every time you refused to eat, there was a guy called Mudenge, so we could say Mudenge is coming, and he had a finger like this, like a stick. And then you keep quiet. And then we withdraw your sticks, then you said, okay, I'll eat. And but you're a person who wanted, if they refuse to, they want you to eat, they say, okay, tell them, okay, sing, dance, praise. You love music, you loved everything. And but also you love computers. You are a very fast learner in gadgets. That's why we were keeping everything away from you, because we didn't know what would happen. But but it wasn't easy because you are a gift. Most people said, I don't know how I'm going to raise my child. And the good thing is, as you began to grow, you grow with us. You grew with us. You grew with us, and we grow with you. So it was like you were pouring in our lives and making us young again. And even when we were taking you on Saturdays when I've come back and we have to go, out, because every time I came back, if I came back on Wednesday, then Friday night until Saturday evening, I was taking the family out. I could take the family out in at Entebbe Hotel or somewhere in the hotel, spend those days out there, and then it was fun, jumping on the beds, pillow fights. So it wasn't difficult, raising you up. It wasn't difficult at all. The issue was that your program was rigorous, and when we went to school, our program wasn't like that. Maybe Jessica, your mom, maybe the program was rigorous for her, but, because she was also born in exile, and then she came back, so maybe the problem, but for me it wasn't. My life was a schedule, a well-planned schedule. You wake up in the morning, you get water, you bathe, you go to school, you come back, you fetch firewood, you bring water, you help mom. It's night and sleep, so it wasn't that rigorous like yours. But when you're growing up, it was sports this day, another sports that day. You are playing with another international school, then come back, then PTA, then you have to go there, then come back, then homework, then this, then that, then church. And the good thing is, like, you loved church from the very beginning. Most of and I always recommend parents, or whoever is watching right now, is that your key to which camera, I don't know whom I'm talking to, whether this one I'm talking to or this one. But the church is a development ground. I didn't say that the church takes care of your children, but I would say the church is a development ground for your children. is a developing ground. It's for development. It will develop your child in interpersonal relationships like school, but also it carries an authority of the Spirit of God that will help your child fix. Your child must choose friends. And I remember at the time you had friends.
Yeah.
You know, there was a white guy. I don't know whether it's from Sweden or Germany.
Sure.
Yeah, he came here.
Sure.
He was playing drums in the third service, and you enjoyed being in the third service because all these guys, you know, all of them were playing drums. Could play drums at that particular time. Joseph, you know, was a drummer. Now he works with us in the ministry. And now he was a young man. Now he has a family. So I think you fitted in even people who are older than you, and many other things that you have explored in life, both academically, physically, sports-wise, even in friends. You are very good at making friends, and I think every child must be given that charge. Not only just all you have to do is watch over, don't control, watch over, but let the child make the steps of making friends, because any child must make and choose friends. Now, many of that's why in a church and in school, those are very good grounds for your child to really make friends. Of course, there may be bad kids at school, there may be wrong teachers, there may be bad people at the church, there may be wrong pastors in the church. But whatever it is, your child must be able to make friends. That way he will love the place, and then God will start speaking to that.
Cool.
Man, explaining how to raise you, the most different things. I've taken a whole book.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So with that being said, like a lot of people have like underlining issues these days, to where like you have kids who are like, how I wouldn't say this, like some kids want to do like their own thing, and they think like their parents are wrong, and then some kids just want to start like doing certain things now instead of later. And like the most frequent one that I got asked was like when is it when is the right time to like begin to venture on and take some responsibility with like your own personal life. Like if you were to like tell someone else like that now, because like at this point in my life, that's when I'm like, okay, I need to buy a house at some point. I need to get a vehicle. You need to move out. Like like you start doing all those things now. Like in Corinth, like because I wasn't living here for like 4 years.
Yeah.
So like, and you come back and then you're like, okay, like I need to do all those things. And then there's like COVID happened, and then we're just here. But how do you explain that to like a lot of other people who think they need to do it, and then people who actually need to do it? Because there's a big difference. Because I feel like there are people who think they need to be independent, when in the actual sense, that's not necessarily the right time to do it. And then there are people who, hey man, this is getting weird. You're 35, you're in your mom's house, you're in your dad's house. It's a little weird. It's getting peculiar. Move out. Like when do you think it's like the right time?
Well, I think there is tradition. You're fighting tradition. In the African tradition, a child is still a child until he gets married. It doesn't matter whether you get married at the age of 18. When you get married, you should have your own house. If you're not yet married, and especially you're a girl, you are more valuable when you are still staying with your parents. Now, the times have changed, whereby your parents live 300 miles away. You can live with them, and you are working in the city. So you're going to get your friends to help you get a house. So for every individual person, it's completely different. So you cannot have a same set of rules that applies to everyone. However, my advice will be, whether you like it or not, at a certain time, you're going to mature. You're going to grow. You're going to get away from your parents' house. Me, I left my parents when I was very, very young. You know, of course, I had to come to school. But also, in terms of ministry and pursuing the goal that God has for my life, I had to get my own place at the age of 20. because there was no way I would do anything God had called me in my brother's house or in my sister's house. I couldn't do that. I couldn't have 100 people coming to pray for 3 days. I couldn't have, so I had to get a place at that earliest age. And, you're going to school, but also you are independent. So other people have to wait, study, and then get away from their father's house and go, But at a certain time, the scripture is the same. Abraham left his father's house at the age of 80. God said, get thee out of your father's house.
Wow.
At the age of 80. At any given time, any man or woman, you're going to leave your parents. You're going to leave. But how do you leave? That's the question. How do you leave? Secondly, Jesus left at the age of 30. Abraham at the age of 80. David left very, very young. And so it's according to your call upon your life. And another thing is that what parents must understand, that your generation, for example, what I'm understanding, I don't tell other parents, just tell people what to do, and I'm not doing it. But let me just give you my own experience. What I'm fully understanding, that your generation, or not your generation, or your life, or let me use the word generation because it will make sense for other people. Yeah. The generation to me means different thing. Your generation must be much more better than my generation. You must have life. You must have access to everything that you need to make a right decision. When I was growing up, I didn't need many things to make a right decision. In this day and age, you need everything at your disposal in order to make a right decision. So how do you enter into your dream, your personal dream? You want to go out, you need to buy a car, you need to do that. I think parenting is preparing this child of yours so that when the time comes for him to make a decision, he has options. He has options. So he has to be educated, he has to be skilled, the child has to be exposed, seriously, and he has to be trained and prayed for. Those 5 things are very, very important. Those 5 things are very, very important. So that's how you're going to have this person make a right decision, to make a right decision. And the child must always feel that it's okay, he can always come home if things don't work out. He must always. Jesus said something. He said, I'm here. Actually, the gospel said, he's here to bridge the relationship between the father and sons. Okay, between the fathers and sons. It's very, very important that we know that the relationship between a father and son must be a bond that cannot be broken. That is must be, unless someone is fulfilling his destiny, that he has to walk away, that he has to go away and start his home, start his family. There's nothing I can do to stop you from doing that. If I have given you everything right to make a right decision. As I made a decision to leave my father's house, start the work God called me to do, choose a wife that I'm going to marry, is the same thing has to be ushered into you, to be given to you, at that particular time. The reason why parents fear for the choice of their children is that they have not given them everything they need to make that right decision.
Wow.
So even in life, if in terms of business, you just put everything on the table. It's wonderful for, let me put it this way, for George Walker Bush, it was marvelous to see W. Bush become president, isn't it?
Yeah.
But what about other children? What about Jeb? So you cannot always want your children to do exactly what you are doing. You want it, you need it, and it's wonderful, it's great. You want your children to be pastors, you want your children to be leaders, you want your children to be everything. But you lay it before the Lord. Let the Lord do the work. Let the Lord lead that, because he knows. One of the things that we when it comes to our children, we ask God to give us the children. Robert, we ask God to give us the children. And I know parents who are watching right now, they say, Pastor, what is he talking about? We ask God to give us the children.
Yeah.
Right? So if we ask God to give us the children, then the problem we do, when it comes to our children being taught by the Lord, we say, Lord, don't teach my children, I'll teach my child.
Wow.
The scripture in the book of Psalms, if we can put it there, the book of Psalms, it said, not Psalms, it said he trained our hands for war in the book of Psalms. But also the scripture which says our children will be taught of the Lord. Our children will be taught of the Lord. So when it comes to teaching our children, because the Bible said, teach a child the way he should go, when he grows up, he will not deviate from it. Okay, if I teach you, Robert, the way you should go, I teach you the value of God, the value of country, the value of family, the value of interpersonal relationships, the value of work, the value of working smart. I mean, I teach you work. I'll teach you work, but you will work smart. You get my point? Working smart is for you to decide. Either you work hard or you work smart. Me, I teach you work. I teach you the word of God. I show you that this is what God does, and I give you all the support you need. And also show you an example, because some people think what I say is what matters, not what I do, but also what I do, you know. Also what I do is also a lesson, is a teaching to you.
Yeah.
And but it also helps you understand how to handle conflicts. One of the things that we never teach our children, but God teaches us, is spiritual warfare. God teaches us to fight. He trains our hand for war. But we parents never teach our children how to solve issues, especially conflicting issues, and economic issues, financial. These are all warfares. It's a war out there right now in COVID-19. People don't know how to feed their children. They don't know how to help their families. They don't know how to do this. So it's a war. It's a fight. Everybody has to fight for survival. And yet, if we were taught by our parents that in the past, dispensation, past things, there was this and this, it would have been very easy in one way or the other. So in my understanding, it's to an individual person. Every child has a gift from God. Every child is a child of God. So I cannot measure the same foot shoes for you, for Christiana, for Castin, for Jackie. I can't do that, I can't do that. I'll have to really, 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 really say, okay, this is where this child is. And if this child is this gifted like this, how do I empower that child so that when the time comes for him to make a decision, he will make that decision? Like Castin,
Mm-hmm.
she's studying law, and it was very important for her to remain in the UK, to study and read and do that. We all wanted her to get on the flight before they locked down. She said, no, I have to do this. And your heart said, oh, are you making a right decision? Don't you know what's happening?
I wasn't for that.
But but again, you have to say, this is part of her training. This is part of her life. This is part of her gifting. So she has to make that decision. All I have to do is support it fully, and then so that she can make a right decision.
Cool. And that's really important, because the way I see that is that I think it goes back to this. I think with a lot of what we're seeing now, with what happens today, you see a lot of people, and I've been seeing this a lot with the protests around the world and everything. I think when people, especially millennials, our generation, has a huge problem.
Yes.
Our generation has a huge problem, and the problems start with, we have a large access to information. The majority of that information is not necessarily correct or accurate.
Yeah.
With that information comes a lack of history, and people don't read history. I remember when I was still here at Kisu, Kampala International School, growing up, it was the only 4 students in my history class who took history. Everyone else took business, everyone else took math, everyone else took science. There were only 4 people in my history class. That's concerning now that I'm looking at it. Because what I see people say about history, when I studied it and read it, and we studied it in depth, is not accurate.
Yeah.
And
Actually, they used to call it, what's the name? What's the name of that class?
So we had history and then we had theory of knowledge.
Yeah, okay.
Theory of knowledge
yes.
as well. And everything, and I thank Mr. Secretary, he was a good guy.
Yeah.
But everything we're seeing now, like you're starting to see like a vast, limited understanding of knowledge. And when you talk about Kirsten, I feel like with the lack of people studying history and with the lack of people paying attention, you then start to have these like nuanced theories in their head to where people believe that, for example, the government is responsible for my safety. That's actually very incorrect. You're responsible for your safety. It's like us saying that Museveni is responsible for making sure Kirsten is safe.
Yeah.
That's very incorrect because Kirsten made the decision to stay.
Yeah.
And so I remember when I was like living in Tulsa, Oklahoma, you'd be like, hey, you're responsible for your safety. You know, you need to make proper decisions. Don't do that, do this. That's probably not the best idea because ultimately I was responsible for my safety.
Yeah.
And I believe that right now, they're like, the way people are being taught, they're being taught to give their safety to like, hey, these people will keep you safe. These people will look after your money. And then ultimately you're left with no control over your life as an individual because you're like giving your safety to somewhere else. I remember there's a book that I have like a ton of audiobooks. So the recent one that I read, in there, one of the guys who basically the government just ruins his life. He literally says the most scariest words that have ever, like, will ever scare me is when somebody or the government show up to my door and they're like, hey, John, we're here to keep you safe. It's like it makes me so uneasy. It makes me so uneasy because like, what am I doing wrong in terms of my safety? So I think like with our generation, as millennials, I think we have a huge, we have a lot of like promise and a lot of ability to like, you know, exceed a lot of people's expectations. But then with all that, there's like a huge amount of problems that like are rising in the background that are following us, like the level of access to information. Recently, like right now, and I know like probably this is the very first podcast ever done, but cancel culture is a huge thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know what that means. So basically, cancel culture is this. If you said something 5 years ago, or you say something today, or you do something, and I don't agree with it, we can cancel you. I can destroy you on social media, tell other people to unfollow you, and we remove you from like anything. And even if you don't agree with us.
Yeah. And
I feel like millennials have gotten to the point to where in 1990s, 1980s, 1970s, you couldn't cancel anyone. If you don't agree with someone, you don't agree, and then you move on and you go. Yeah. Like I remember the other day, we were having like a talk about politics, and we have our conclusion is the same. The method of how we want to get there for you and me is different. Yeah. But we talked about it, and then we're still here and we're fine. Yeah. But the majority of millennials, it becomes like a war. Like especially with the recent things that happened in America, there were kids like having discussions with the parents, not agreeing. They post the discussion, the video. They record their parents, and then they post it on social media. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, this is not some guy who's beating you up that you're recording. This is not you having an argument with your ex-boyfriend and he's about to assault you. These are your parents. You're recording them. You're having a disagreement. Yeah. But these people, you live in their house. They raise you. You don't have enough respect to not record them. You disagree with them. That's fine. Yeah. Even if you disagree with them and they're wrong, that's also okay. Yeah. But to record them and then put them on social media and then everyone jumps on and they're like, yeah, your parents are wrong for this. And then the parents end up losing their job because they're not agreeing with their 14-year-old daughter whose brain is not fully developed. Yeah. Those are that's where I think us millennials are starting to affect. Like, because we are saying some things without like a lot of full context. Like if you do, and this is the thing, no millennial has ever like, until you reach like 22 onwards, in that bracket, like millennials change their minds every time.
Yeah.
And I know this for a fact because I was one of them. Like, we change our mind every time on everything.
Yeah.
So I think like that's become a huge thing, and I think that that's affecting parents.
And I think, Robert, is also because we have got, this is where the revolution, the political revolution, the social revolution took place. And every revolution is born on the campus of a university.
Wow.
Through the mind of a certain professor.
Wow.
A man who has learned and studied, but he studied theory and he doesn't have practicals. I'm sorry, professors and dons. I'm not picking up a fight with you, but every revolution you could think of in the Bible, in history, has started on the bedrock of a university. Wow. Among the university students, the hippies, every revolution you can think of.
Yeah.
Even the Jesus movement started on a certain university campus. So, but these professors are not practical people. They learn anything about agriculture, but they don't have even a single farm. Not even a single acre they are growing of food to practically put in place. It's like a man in theological school. You know, most of my professors, when I was studying in the years in Bible institutes, Bible colleges and stuff like that, all of them could tell you how to preach, how the message is supposed to be done. They teach you homiletics, but they have never preached a message. They have never pastored a church. They don't know how to build a church from one person and you take it to 10,000 people. They can, when they hear you preach, they can cancel you out. They say, you don't say that. Yeah. This is not theologically right. This is sacrilege. This is that. The philosophy, this is what we believe. But if you take them into a practical church where you are dealing with young people, 14-year-old young girl has been raped and she's pregnant now, they don't know what to do with that kid. You know, a street kid, they don't know what to do. When someone goes and his wife dies, they're in bed. He wakes up, a man wakes up, his wife is dead. And he has left a 2-3 months old baby. And the police arrests the man, and they don't know where they put the baby. And the man is the suspect. They don't know how to counsel that particular person. They don't know how to really get this person and get him through the trouble he has, but they can give you. So the millennials are really being parented by professors and politicians. They are giving them something that is not real. Like you said, we are here for your safety. You've been to planes before.
Yeah.
You've flown around the world. Yeah. And the air hostess, you know, they'll stand up and grab the microphone, the air stewardess. She'll stand up and say, "Hi, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We want you. Our safety is first." 2 hours in the flight, the plane is hijacked. And you told us it's going to be safe. Yes. You see, people will give you what is written on paper, but they will never. And this generation, that's what the Bible said, honor your mother and your father, that your days will be many. For you to live longer, you need to honor your parents. But if you are recording your parents because you want to go on, in the numbers on Instagram and everything else, you're going to be famous. This generation is driven on famous. People want to be famous. Yeah. Desperately, Robert. People want to be famous. And that's why they're not building foundations. That's why they don't want to go through the rigorous of being raised as children. They want to be on the same equal like their parents. And yet they don't pay any bill. They don't buy any clothes, but they just feel like they have a right. I have a right to live. I have a right to live. I have a right to live. And that, Jesus did not come to give us rights.
Wow.
He came to give us life. And there's a big difference between your rights and your life. Your life is from God. Your rights is from the geography, from a country. If that country where you are, Robert does not believe in women being preachers, or I always tell people, when I look at the Pentecostal churches and women are bishops, they can become bishops actually. Yeah. And yet in the other churches, like Catholic and Anglican, for a woman to be a bishop, that will have to bring St. Peter back again from the grave. So you don't have those rights there. Yeah. But you have a life. You can love God. You can worship God. You can praise God. But the right you are claiming here, you may not have it over there. So there's a difference between life and rights.
Yeah. And I think, like, when you talk about that, especially with us, like, the reason why it bothered me a lot is that we're not allowing people room for mistakes. Like, if you did something wrong 5 years ago, or you did something wrong today, and they want to cancel you, and they want to take everything from you, like, no one should buy this from your shop, no one should listen to this person. It bothers me because you're not allowing people to make mistakes. You're not allowing to, like, room for debate. You're not allowing room for civil discourse.
Actually, the word cancel, what you're talking about is to cancel you out.
Yeah.
Right? Not the canceling like you people are used to in Uganda.
No. Literally just cancel you out. Like, completely remove you as a person.
Remove you out, yeah.
So I feel like that's very, very dangerous, because the most important thing is for people to be able to have discussions and for people to be able to talk. Like, I feel like it's very dangerous, especially millennials. Millennials only hang around the people that they can agree with.
Yeah.
If you don't agree with me, I'm not going to talk to you. I think that's very dangerous. I think it's dangerous because it's not allowing you to have perspective. It's not allowing you to have room to discuss, to have discourse with people, to talk about issues. Especially, and we see it now, like, if a millennial is offended, it's very quick, like, okay, cool. Like, no, I'm not talking to him anymore. We're not friends. What are you talking about? Like, I can't agree on everything with everybody.
Yeah.
Like, it would be impossible for me to agree with everything on everyone. It's not right. So
yeah, and Robert, not only that, the danger in that narrative, the danger to follow that narrative, is that, look at David, King David. There were issues in his life. Yeah. We knew he killed a lion, he killed a bear, so the Green Party will cancel him out. You cannot be a king of Israel, Greenpeace. Yeah. You cannot be, because you killed nature. You're a terrible man. And but then he kills a man for his wife. He doesn't kill a man for his wife, but he kills a man because it has now been known that the woman is pregnant, and now he has to face. That's what religion does. It does not give you repentance. You don't come clean. You just cover it. And this is a generation of people with vendetta, Oh, yeah. Not vengeance, but vendetta. There's a difference between vengeance. Vengeance is of the Lord. Vendetta is of the people. If somebody did this to me, I'm going to make him pay. I'm going to destroy him. He will not have food. He will not have anything. So that's why you find out that vendetta was in the life of Absalom. Absalom was operating not on vengeance, but Absalom was operating on vendetta. You left my mom. I am the firstborn. Now we are with another woman. You're going to pay. You must lose the kingdom. You must get out. And that is the spirit of Absalom, is the spirit of the millennial. There are some good millennials who have managed to do something, but what rules in because every generation, in my generation, we have a spirit. We had a spirit of I could call it the spirit of war. In my generation, we are fighters. In terms of Amin, terms of Obote, terms of Museveni, terms of, it's war. We fight. It's just, we talk 3, 4, 5 words. We will fight you. We will do this. We will do this. So the language is, I'll beat you. I'll do this. This is what has culminated our generation, my generation. Yours has been in peace and millennials and development. For you, you're talking about what can we do to technology, whom can we work with? You're not entangled in our tribalism. You're not entangled in our fighting. We have those problems. We do have them. You're marrying who? Do you know that tribe is bad people? That is our generation. That's a generation of our parents. Then we fighters, we don't care. If you are from Mbale or Mbarara, if we agree on a certain ideology, then we are friends. Then we can fight. We are fighters. For you are inventors. You want to develop stuff. You want to do things. You want to reach a level. You want to be famous. And so those are generations, the lives that we are living in. But the spirit of Absalom rules in the millennials. It's a spirit of I'll go and take everything someone has.
Yeah.
That's why they are quick in calling the law enforcers and the lawyers.
Yeah.
The law enforcers and the lawyer. They are very quick in getting that. Even when they know they're going to lose the case, they will sue their parents.
Yeah.
It's unthinkable. But this is where the spirit of Absalom always rules and reigns.